Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law.
Where's your witness?
In the evidence.
That's hearsay.
It's notarized.
I still say it's hearsay.
She's fair.
You got to help these young men learn how to do this the right way.
Yes, Your Honor.
She's firm.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
No, I don't need to say anything else.
She's honest.
I'm not your child and I'm not your friend. That's the order of the court. Goodbye.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean.
All rise. Both parties, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Mablean presiding.
Thank you. You may be seated. This is the matter of Tammy Flores versus Dana Bancroft, and you're suing her for $10,000 for emotional distress, assault, and battery. You said she washed your daughter's hair that caused a lot of distress. And of course, Ms. Bancroft, you're saying, I was just trying to be helpful.
Yes, indeed, Your Honor.
Wow.
I mean, if it was really assault and battery, I would be in custody.
Not necessarily. There's assault and battery that's not criminal. There's assault and battery that's handled civilly, and there's assault and battery that's handled criminally, and they have different elements. Similar elements, but yet different. And definitely different bodies of proof. So tell me what happened, Ms. Flores.
Yes, so I am suing Ms. Bancroft for causing emotional distress. My daughter...
To you, your daughter, or both?
To both, really, but my daughter, more specifically. My daughter has, through this experience, has gone through something so traumatic and humiliating, and I need, I need justice for her first and foremost. She took it upon herself, Ms. Bancroft took it upon herself to touch my daughter's hair.
Tell me how it started. Tell me how it started.
Sure. So I'm an airline clerk. And so this specific day, it was a school day, I was running a bit behind picking up my daughter from school. Ms. Bancroft and we're not friendly, but we are cordial in the sense where our daughters are friends. So sometimes we lean on each other to help with pickup. This specific day.
So your daughters go to the same school?
They go to the same school, yes.
Now you agree you're not friendly, you're just cordial, and you
I would
help each other? So the two of you really don't care too much for each other, but because your daughters are in the same classroom and they have a relationship, you try to be civil with each other.
Yes, my children are everything, yes.
Okay. How old is your daughter?
She's 6.
And your daughter the same age?
Yes.
Okay. Go on. 2 6-year-olds.
Yes. So on this day, I drove. I went to pick her up at her house, and when I got there...
Well, how late were you?
I was about an hour. I had told her from beforehand that I would be about an hour late. And I got there about an hour after, so I told her when I told her I was going to be there. She opens the door, and I see my child on a chair behind her, sitting behind her, and she is crying and yelping. She is beside herself. Her hair is half wet, and the other half of her head is tangled in a tangled mess. So immediately I asked her what was going on, why my daughter was in that state, why she was crying. And she handed me a paper. She told me that the school had sent home a letter that there was a lice outbreak. However, in the letter, it specified that the children in that classroom were checked, the classroom that my daughter's a part of, and that none of them had lice. So I didn't understand why then I arrive at this house, and not only is my daughter in a chair with her hair wet, but she is crying and she's yelping, and she told me it's because she suspected my daughter had lice when this paper clearly stated that no one in that class had lice.
Do you have the paper?
Yes, I do.
So you're telling me that you picked up the kids from school, brought them to your home, since they both at the same school, I take it you got the same note, so you didn't open her letter.
I got the note when I went to pick up the girls.
Okay, but I'm sure there was a note for both parents, or for all the parents.
I just got the note for both of them, yes.
It was one note?
But that was when we got it. I got one note.
Was it folded and in the envelope, or was it like...
It was just like they handed you a piece of paper.
Like I handed a piece of paper like this when you get there, a notice. Okay. So here's the note that you received when you picked up your child from school. It's just a note to all the parents.
Yes.
Head lice information letter to parents or guardians.
Yes, I looked at this letter, and one of the key components was that, we were supposed to watch for itching, and her hair was tangled when I picked her up, and she was
It was
just
entangled when
scratching.
you picked her up.
Hold on a second, but the note says, we ask you as the parent or guardian of the child to please recheck and monitor your child's head. We have checked the students in the classroom and they appear lice-free, but we ask you as the parent or guardian to please recheck and monitor your child's head.
Yes.
So now why did you take it upon yourself to do so when she had a parent who was about to pick her up?
Well, as far as I was concerned, I had the guardianship of the child at the time, and my children
No.
were there.
Are you serious about that?
Yes.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
Her hygiene is frequently poor.
Your Honor,
So,
I-
well, hold
when I-
on,
when I
hold on. If you really believe her hygiene is frequently poor,
Yes.
did you ever express those concerns to the mother?
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Tammy Florist, who is suing Dana Bancroft for $10,000.
So you pick up a child from school at the request of a parent, and that gives you guardianship?
In that moment, yes. I
Do you
believe
know what the
that's
word
true.
guardianship means?
It means that you're legally responsible for the child, from what I understand.
No, it's legally responsible for the child while the child is in your care and custody, but it doesn't mean that you have the right to do things with and to and for the child, except in cases of emergency.
Well, I consider this a case of emergency.
And what was the emergency?
The letter says specifically watch for scratching. She was scratching her head in the car on the way. I was concerned about that. By the time we got to the house, she starts really vigorously scratching. And at that point, she had been in my car. My children are around her. She had been in my house. I said, I got to get some kind of...
Why didn't you just call her mother?
I texted her, and she gave me no reply. In fact, she was 2.5... She said she was an
driving.
hour late. She was 2.5 hours late.
2.5
Yes.
hours after the time she was supposed to be there?
Yes.
I was driving, so when she text messaged me, I was not going to look at my phone for the text message.
Got that.
So
I
I
understand that, but why were you 2.5 hours late if you told her an hour?
I was late because the traffic at the airport was really intense. I don't 2.5 hours.
Well, okay, but
This
when
is
you're
frequent.
late, if you tell someone that I'm going to pick up my child at 1, and it appears that you're not going to get there until 3, the courtesy says you pick up the phone and you call the person and say, I'm running behind and I won't be there until, because you don't know what the other person has to do and you just can't interfere with them in that manner because you didn't know what she had to do.
No, I
and
understand
whether it
that.
would be, whether you would infringe upon her. So did you call at any point when you realized that you were not going to arrive at the time? Because by the time you left, you left the airport late. Right?
I
You left
left-
work late.
When I realized that I was going to leave the airport left is when I asked her to pick up my child.
Okay.
And then
frequent thing.
in that time, from the time that I had spoken to her to pick up my child to the time that I got there,
It took 2.5 hours.
I suspected it would take an hour. It may have taken more. This isn't the first
You
time.
guys live in the same neighborhood, right?
We live in the same, we're neighbors. So
And you drive back and forth to work.
I do.
And
yes.
you know the work drive habits and the traffic flow. So you know that at 3 o'clock the traffic will flow like this and it could take you maybe an hour, but at 4 o'clock it's going to take a little longer. So did you factor all of that in?
I mean, sometimes it takes less than an hour. It just depends on the day.
I
And so-
realize that.
So
but
that day, I specifically it took maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. I wasn't recording the time. All I know is that I was on my way, and this has happened before, where I am running late, and she's always, for the most part, I will say my daughter is there, ready for pickup. And
okay,
so today,
so let me ask you this. What did you do to the child's hair to cause all these tangles?
I didn't cause the tangles. Her hair is frequently tangled. She takes what I believe to be
I don't-
sketchy
I didn't
care
ask
of her
you.
child.
Stop right now. She what?
Her child care and her parenting style is not up to what I believe it should be, and I do not want that around my children. But the thing
So
is,
then why did you agree to pick up the child if you believe that her child...
oh, her child was a sweetheart. I figured,
But wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
If you believe that her parenting style was not up to what you like, and you didn't want that around your child, then why did you agree to pick up your child, her
Well,
child?
When I say I don't want around my child, I mean that, I don't want the child, pardon me, I mean that as a parent, I want my child to have certain values. And her child does not necessarily have those values.
I have no
it's
idea.
really
Then
important
why
that,
are you around her, and why would you allow her child to be around
the children are friends, and her daughter's a sweet girl. And
But even so, if the children are friends and
Yes.
you believe that her...
she has nobody else to help her, so it was kind of like,
What you sounded like is you're saying that her care,
yes.
she was not clean,
No, she's not. The child
and
is
her hygiene was poor.
her hygiene is frequently poor.
Your Honor,
So,
I-
but hold
when I-
on,
when I
hold on. If you really believe her hygiene is frequently poor,
Yes.
and her mother does not care for her in the manner that you think a parent should care for a child,
yes, that's exactly
did you
right.
ever express those concerns to the mother?
Well,
Yes
I
or no is
personally,
as simple
I
as-
have not.
Okay.
I have not expressed
Okay,
those
so
concerns
if
to
you
her, it's not-
believe that the child's hygiene is poor to the point that it negatively impacts or may negatively impact or affect you and your child, then why agree to pick her up?
I believe that I could be an excellent influence on her since I'm spending all this time with her. My children are-
Influence is one thing, but you can't change parenting style, and you can't change the way a child is parented or hygiene styles if you don't talk to another parent. You don't have the ability nor the right to do that, because people parent in the manner they choose to parent.
But Your Honor,
if it's
there were
not
extenuating
yours,
circumstances. As far as I knew,
you should have called the parent.
As far as I knew, her child may have had lice in
And
my
as
car
far as you
around my
knew, she may
children.
not have had lice.
Yes, but it's
what
enough of a
did you
risk.
do
It's
to her
enough of a
hair?
risk.
What did you do?
I decided to use a home remedy. So I combined some, because I don't like chemicals all over the place, and I combined some mayonnaise with some coconut oil. Left it
Do
on
you
her
know
hair.
any of the child's allergies? Do you know if the child has a nut allergy?
I do not know.
Do you know if the child had any allergies to cream, to mayonnaise, to milk,
No, it's not given
to
any
sugar?
of that information.
Didn't know anything about the child's condition, right? Did you know how to wash that child's hair? Did you know if she was allergic to any particular type of shampoos or things going into her hair?
No, Your
Did you
Honor,
know that?
I was not thinking of that. I was thinking about my children at the time, honestly.
Well, it's not your child's hair you was washing.
I understand.
And I'm not going to belabor this point any longer because you were wrong.
Coming up,
I was not going to allow my children to be exposed to that. I could not
That's what
take
I'm
that.
just saying to you. When you don't want your child exposed to something, you didn't have to have your child exposed. You could have left that child at school.
you're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Tammy Florist, who is suing Dana Bancroft for $10,000.
Here's your option. If you really thought, because you got this note at school, when you got there, says the children were exposed to lice. There was a lice infection in the classroom. It said your child may be exposed, but we checked the hair and didn't see anything. That's what the note clearly says.
Yes, ma'am.
We've checked every child in this classroom and we didn't see anything. So at that point, since you thought that her hygiene was poor anyway, and you did not think that this woman cared for her child in the manner that she should, you should have left that child there and called her mother then and there and said, I cannot take her home because I'm concerned about a lice outbreak and I don't want her to go to my house under these circumstances. Simple as that. You could have left that child with the school because the school is responsible for that child until the parent picks her up. And you could have said to the person at the school, I was asked, but I can't do it. Under these circumstances, I can't do it. But you cannot take it upon yourself to wash another child's hair because you think there may be lice. You didn't have any evidence of anything
Your Honor,
going wrong with that
I actually
child.
have some evidence that she is not, her parenting style is not good, and she is neglectful of her child. She's
Then
neglectful
you
of
send
her.
that to the social services department and you call them and report her to the social services. But you don't take it upon yourself to clean it up, Miss High and Mighty.
Well, I was not going to allow my children to be exposed to that. I
Then
could not
that's
take
what I'm
that.
just saying to you. When you don't want your child exposed to something, you didn't have to have your child exposed. You could have left that child at
I'm
school.
just going to leave her alone.
She was not alone. There were
understand.
adult
Okay.
persons at
All right.
school. Stop lying. You could have left her at school.
All right.
But you cannot take it upon yourself to wash another child's hair without a parent's permission.
Coming up,
Did you put your child in therapy?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I believe she just knows that my husband and I are affluent, and this is a money grab.
Your Honor, I am.
Stop.
You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Tammy Florist, who is suing Dana Bancroft for $10,000.
Did you put your child in therapy?
Yes, I did.
How many sessions has she had?
She's had about 6 or 7.
And what did those sessions cost?
The therapy sessions, I do have health insurance, so I do want to make that clear. I have health insurance, but each session is about $75 a session for the hour, and it's weekly.
Your Honor, I believe she just knows that my husband and I are affluent, and this is a money grab.
Your Honor, I am...
Yeah, stop. You got a bad attitude about your affluence. And this is not about money. That child suffered some harm, whether you want to believe it or not. Not only from her head hurting, but the crying and the tangling. And I'm sure as you were doing it, you were probably talking about it. When was the last time your hair was washed? This is a long time. Why didn't your mother wash your hair? Because you didn't just do it quietly, because that's not who you are. And the children lost their friendship, and they're no longer allowed to associate with each other. The child probably believes that's her fault, the reason she can't associate with your daughter. And she probably now thinks something's wrong with her. There is some consequences to your actions. And whether she has the proof of the treatment or not, she needs it. The child needs some therapy from this.
I do not agree. It was not.
You don't agree with anything if it doesn't say, if you're not saying it. And if you say one more time, I don't agree. Let me tell you what I think about you not agreeing. I can give a good GD about you not agreeing. Because one thing about this courtroom, I don't need your agreement.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
You can hate everything I'm saying and not agree with a doggone thing. I don't need it. Get mad, get upset, call me names, talk about me. What do I care? There's one, now you're somewhere in life that you don't run the show, and you don't have the last say. That's on me. And here's my say to you. Judgment for the plaintiff. I'm going to order that she put her child in therapy for as many sessions as the therapist believes is necessary, and that you pay for every doggone session since you're so affluent. Until the therapist says this child is okay from this incident. You get your child in therapy. You said she's had 6 sessions. I need you to send me the reports on those 6 sessions that she had. A report from the therapist confirming that and saying what the additional therapy the therapist believes is necessary.
Yes, Your Honor.
And get that to me. I will get it to you, and you're going to pay judgment for the plaintiff.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to cover all therapy sessions for the plaintiff's child.
I take care of my child.
Obviously not.
Okay. Well, thank you for the therapy sessions.
Are you
Happy
going to
to
exit behind you, gather your belongings?
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.